Oh no, he wants to be in the video. Oh, he wants attention. Give me a kiss. If you don't kiss your dog, you're fucked up. Hi guys, welcome back. So today I kind of wanted to reflect on my college experience, okay? And I haven't thought about college in a long ass time because it just happened so long ago. Like I graduated high school in 2015, right? And I went to one semester of school. And I can't believe that was like 10 years ago. And that's just fucking crazy. And I had a really weird experience. Like I honestly was in a weird place in my life and in my mental health journey and like my sexuality, right? Like I was really just very lost, okay? I feel like everything in my life up until that point, like where I was in college, was like predetermined, by like my upbringing or like how I was raised or my parents, like whether that was going to college, whether that was getting married or having kids or like whatever. I just felt like those were things that I just had to do because that's just how I was fucking raised and like what I was taught. That's what everybody else was doing. And like when I was in high school, they had these like college programs where like you can get college credits, like during school and you'd go off to like some other place. And like I just never gave a fuck because I didn't know what I wanted to do. After I graduated, my dad and my stepmom very quickly started pressuring me to move out. They're like, we really think you need to have like an out of home experience. And I was like, bitch, you don't have to try. Like I wanted to move out so bad. I did not need them to pressure me. Like I was gonna do it whether they liked it or not. And so I was living in Utah at the time and I moved out to a townhome with my brother and a few of his friends. And, I wasn't close with any of them. I knew who they were. Like, I had kind of known them like growing up, but I was never like homies with them. I lived there for like 2 years, I think. And, it was close to my college. I ended up going to Utah Valley University, which is funny because my dad and my stepmom really wanted me to go to a Mormon school called BYU Idaho, right? And I was very religious growing up. I'm not anymore. I'm like atheist now, which is kind of funny. I remember they literally like filled out like applications and shit for me to go there. I had like interviews with like church leaders to like go to this Mormon school. And it's funny because everybody gets in, right? Like everybody gets into BYU Idaho. And yeah, I was always kind of a shit student. I didn't get scholarships. I didn't really play much sports. Like I did when I was a kid, but I didn't do it in high school, The funny thing is I got rejected from BYU Idaho. And I think that was the ultimate blessing in my life because who knows where the fuck I would be right now if I went to BYU Idaho, if I lived there and had all this pressure to go to school and have roommates. Like I just didn't want that shit, Living in Idaho, that just sounds like hell. I hate Idaho. Like, fuck Idaho, man. Like, every time I visited Idaho, I just hated it. So, yeah, my dad was like, okay, well, we're gonna pay for one semester of you to go to Utah Valley University, okay? And I had 2 classes. I also was working 2 jobs. My classes were art history, which I had taken in high school and could have gotten college credit for it, but I didn't fill out like this form. And so I just like ended up retaking it in college, okay? And that class sucked ass, okay? Like I failed it in college. I remember on the first day of school, they were like, okay, we're gonna have 3 exams this semester. If you fail 2 of them, you might as well not even come to class because that means you failed. And I failed 2 of them, and so I just stopped going to that class. And then my math class was Math 990, which is like Algebra 1 or fucking pre-algebra. And I was like, bro, I did this shit in like 9th grade. And I don't know why the fuck I ended up in those classes, but I did. I don't know how that all happened. I ended up like not even going to that class because I knew I could pass the test. So I only went on like the test days and I would sleep in and just like not go to school pretty much. And when I did go to school, like all I really wanted to do was go to Taco Bell because my school had a fucking Taco Bell. And so one of my friends who was like a good student, he was like always going to class, always studying, like I just never saw myself doing that shit. You walk around college and you see people on their computers or like reading or like, taking notes. Like I felt like after high school, I didn't need to do that shit anymore. I was like, I struggled hard enough in high school that like I was gonna struggle even harder in college. Especially in college, I feel like you have a lot more like free will, And there was even times where I would just walk out of my class. Like I would be like in the middle of like a lesson and, my art history class was very big, you know, and they had the, like almost like stadium seating like you see in the fucking movies, and like I would just walk out. I didn't want to pay for a parking pass, so I had to park at Hobby Lobby, which was basically like a half mile like away from the school. Maybe not a half mile, like a quarter mile, I don't know, away from the school, and I had to, you know, park at Hobby Lobby and walk all the way to school. I was just never passionate about anything like in school and like going to school. I just didn't care. And so, yeah, like I said, me and my friend would just go to Taco Bell, and like that was the highlight of my college days. And, you know, I didn't have the full college experience where you have like roommates and you're going to parties and you're in like a dorm together, you know. I also, like, throughout my course of life, I've met quite a few people who go to school, get degrees, and never use them. Or they get degrees, they don't like the job, and they go back to school. I did not want to be one of those people. My ex was one of those people. I hadn't met him at this point, but you know, he got 2 degrees. He had a degree in anthropology, and then he got a degree in like web design and like coding and all that shit. And that was the degree that like actually made him money, right? And so he went to school for years to get his first degree for just like no reason. Like it just didn't do anything other than, I guess, the fact it's like on his resume, you know? Yeah, I will say I don't have a very impressive resume, but I also have never had a job where I've had to have an impressive resume, right? I've always wanted to do something creative, right? Like when I was going to college, I was like, oh, maybe I should go to school for like photography, but it's like, I don't believe you can like train an eye in like photography. It's like, you more so just have to teach yourself and like kind of get the experience. Like, what's a class gonna teach me? Why would I pay for that shit? Plus, there's so much free information online, on YouTube, whatever, like lessons you can take. I feel like school is just a fucking scam, honestly. And like, I've met many people who go to school and they say the same thing. And so, I don't know, dude. Like, I just think it's bullshit. Unless you obviously want to go into like a field that you need it, like medical or like dental, like stuff like that, you know? At this time, I was also closeted and I had a secret relationship. And I just remember that was all I really cared about at the time. Like, I didn't give a fuck about school. And this relationship wasn't very healthy. And I was struggling with my sexual identity and even experiencing probably like the worst suicidal thoughts I've ever had. And yeah, dealing with that while working 2 jobs and going to school was really fucking hard. And so I just didn't care. I didn't prioritize school at all. And, you know, I was working my welding job, and then I was working at like a little cafe. And I worked at that little cafe for like 2 years, and then I welded for like 6 years or something like that. Eventually, I quit going to college. I failed one of my classes, and I think I passed my math class. I have no idea. And you know, after that, I told people like, yeah, I'm gonna go back to school in the fall. Like, I'll go back and I'll figure out like what I want to do. And I ended up just welding full time. I just had no desire to go back to school, and I was like, I'm making money doing this. Like, I don't need to go to school. People go to school to do welding. I didn't have to go to school for welding because it was my dad's company, and like I was just kind of taught, you know. And I had welded a little bit like in high school, and doing like little stupid shit. Like I remember like when I was younger, like my dad let me like weld part of the trampoline back together. You know what I mean? It's like I had some experience and I got really good at welding. I'm not gonna lie, like my welds, like I'm kind of a perfectionist. And so when it comes to that type of shit, like I always thought, not to toot my own horn, but I always thought I had the best welds, like appearance wise. And yeah, so like that was fine, but I didn't enjoy it. I wasn't completely happy welding. And that was when I kind of started getting into YouTube. And, you know, I was doing photography on the side as well, like freelance, like portraiture photography. And yeah, I was making money. Like I had days where I would take off work and just go on like a photo shoot. And though I loved that because I love doing creative stuff. And I love the feeling of like making my own money and not working under somebody else. And so, yeah, then I started doing YouTube. I started doing my ASMR channel, right? So I started making like more money, started my Patreon, and then obviously now doing like OnlyFans and stuff. And like, it's funny because I now make more money doing that than I did welding. And I'm very grateful. And I find that the most rewarding and fulfilling. I think right now I'm probably at the most peace I've ever been with my life. Honestly, like I feel like I'm in a good place. And like, yeah, but sometimes like I get to a point where like, oh, like I feel like this weird regret, like, oh, maybe I should have gone to school. Maybe I should have like a degree. I'm sure that like anybody who's gotten a degree doesn't regret it, right? And you know, it's never too late. Like if I ever wanted to, I could go back to school. I've thought about certain things. If, you know, this didn't work out, what I would do. I could always go back to welding, really try to build up my photography if I wanted to. But right now I'm just chilling and I'm enjoying it. And I feel like, I've been told if you can weld, you'll always have a job. So I'm grateful that I know how to do that. And yeah, I don't know. I it's not something I enjoy. And so that's why I'm grateful for what I'm doing now. And I think that's the goal in life, is like you want to enjoy what you're doing and feel at peace with what you're doing. I've had multiple people in my life go to school because they want to be rich and they want to have a high paying job. And they're like, I have an expensive taste, an expensive lifestyle that I want. I'm like, yeah, sure. I feel like everybody kind of wants a lot of money and stuff. And I will see these people go to school, get a degree, they can't find a job, and then they resort to something else, or they don't like the job. And, one of my cousins, he was going to school to become like an anesthesiologist, and then he gave up on it like halfway through and he became a teacher, like shit like that. And I just think there's also so many ways to make money now outside of like needing school, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with school other than the fact that it's fucking expensive and it's like kind of a scam. But I don't think everybody has to go to school to be successful or find success or to be happy and live a good life, Yeah, that was kind of my college experience. I dropped out after one semester and I never looked back, bro. And I don't even think about college. It was a really confusing and weird time in my life, and I just had so much going on that I didn't really prioritize it. And I also didn't like the fact that, it was like right after high school, and I was thinking like when I went to college, it would be like a whole new scene of people. No, I saw so many people from my high school at my college, and I hated that because I'm like, damn, like I just went to school with these bitches for years, and now they're in college with me. Who knows how long they're gonna be going to college? You know what I mean? Like it was just weird, and so I always felt out of place, going to school and doing that shit. I could never really see myself doing it again. Anyways, that's my college experience. Thank you for watching, guys. If you guys have gone to college and you enjoyed it and had like the fun college experience, and you had like you're part of a club and you had cool roommates and you partied and drank and like whatever, that sounds fun, right? But like I didn't have that. And I feel like I spent most of my college days kind of locked up in my room being sad and like crying about my crazy ex-boyfriend. So yeah, let me know your college experience in the comments, and your thoughts on college. If it's bullshit, if it's legit, if you're grateful that you went, I think that's interesting. So anyways, have a good rest of your day, guys. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one.